Yeah, I mean, you can obviously add your own challenge conditions. It would maybe be nice if the game had some explicit support for them, for some interesting ones. And then leave that to game settings rather than maybe designing species, classes, and gods to be that. Spring and Rider, you're not a Hydra. Where the hell are all the Hydras? Speaking of classic Learning Vault, where are the Hydras? I guess they're not awake. Oh, there's one. You know, Shiny, there's a lot of gods in Crawl. There's a lot of different experiences you can have in Crawl, and what I mentioned is just a sort of spitballing idea that one person had. If anything like that actually happened, it would be a discussion that we would have with other devs. There are just so many different combinations of things you can do in this game that some of Zom's stuff, for instance, could be added to a kind of a challenge mode that would actually be available for any god, for instance. That would be one approach. And Zom, the theme of Zom could be retained to some extent in that regard. You know, that aspect of Zom's theme, at least. Yeah, fight to survive mortal, in the famous words of Zom. I can tell you that you will not enjoy what Zom does to Zot 5. Oof. Not a fun time. Yermak, the famous tournament first place player, current first place player, I think he's now back in first place. Lost a muck this tournament, a Mummy Chaos night on Zot 5. I haven't watched the TV, but I imagine some Zom teleport hijinks were involved. Okay, Hydras, you need to come out. We're gonna have to have a talk about your. Okay, there. Finally, we got the stuff going on here. So we need a plan for this. Hit a bunch of Hydras in the face is one plan. We don't necessarily want. Hydras don't see invis, but I also I can't really hit them with my invis. Got an agile pot, that'll certainly be helpful. This is a great time to use it. But there's a limit to how many Hydra I can actually fight at once, and eventually Lerny's going to show up and I will need to deal with him as well. What is, you know, that's not so bad. I like this. I don't have a lot of enslavement left, but... Do I have any vuln? I don't. This is appropriate battle music. This game. The DCSS is basically Quake. All right, so we're gonna be fighting. I guess I should really pull these guys up further, rather than trying to stage a big old fight right here. In fact, apparently I'm only gonna be fighting one Hydra. Well, that was less spectacular than I had imagined. Oh, there's another Swamp Dragon. Yeah, you're overemphasizing the boredom aspect. He actually doesn't get bored when you're in Zot 5. You're not necessarily resting a lot. He just does it every so often is the problem. What happens is he does this teleport chain even at reasonable, you know, piety states, and he'll just shift you around. You can certainly get bored, but you spend a bunch of time on the level. You're doing stuff that stimulates Zom, but he will eventually do something like that teleports you, and now you're in the middle of a vault, and The longer time you spend on the level, the more frequently you'll get teleported, and you spend a lot of turns there. You don't necessarily have to be getting bored. It's not like they made a mistake and they let him get bored or anything like that. It's just something to some extent that is unavoidable. And I didn't actually see how Yermak did die. I mean, he was playing a mummy, and Mummy has the special aspect where Zom can confuse you, and mummies have no recourse to directly cure the confusion unless they happen to have found a source of clarity, which is not easy to find in this game. And they can't mutate, which is one of the sources of... Okay, come on, Mr. Hydra. Wise to look at that throwing action right there. So my stealth is sort of like making them forget me, which I guess is kind of nice in this instance. Tyrant Leech. You hear a deafening roar, some more stuff keeps waking up, but I'm fighting it basically a little bit at a time. Okay, now I gotta be a little bit careful because I've bitten off a little bit more, but we're alright. Wow, Oka. Imagine if you had gifted me more javelins, Oka. Imagine that, Oka. I could use a launcher, to be fair. I probably sort of should be. Longbow takes a lot of skill, but it would be pretty good. There is a longbow. I really hate ranged, but it is really strong. I much prefer to use throwing if possible, because it's much less annoying. I think the monsters in this vault are patrolling, I forget. What's up in Arion? How's it going? So at some point, Lerny is going to poke his little head out. We might be fighting him mostly solo, which would be great. This guy already forgot about me. Apparently we rolled a lot of swamp dragons. I was remarking how it seemed like we had relatively few Hydra. It feels still like it's been pretty light on Hydra. Fall into obscurity. Well, a lot of people worship Sif. So, and a lot of people, so you can see Sif is, she's half as popular as Vehement, actually a little bit less, but still about twice as popular, not quite twice, than the next option. She's going to probably fall in this ranking, but she'll still be up there. Yep. It's a little tricky because a lot of these mages are like, are not, you would kind of want to look at things that are not like, not Troll, maybe not Minotaur, not Deep Dwarf is, you can play Deep Dwarf with heavy spell usage, but most of the Deep Dwarfs are not going to be. And Centaur is another one where people might, but they are kind of bad for it, just to be... Yeah, so there you go. It's really not actually all that different. Those Maklab wins were basically like Nemelek's choice type mages, and you can see that it's sort of a 2-to-1. So you can't really say she's fallen into obscurity. It's just that Vehemet is a clear favorite. We'll probably change Sif. Oh, there's our boy. There's the big boy. The big cheese. What is his MR? Actually, oh wow, I'm amazed I spelled that correctly. What do we got on the ad? 120, so we're not going to hex him. Unlike a normal Hydra, which we can kind of do. So for him, we kind of want to use ranged attacks. Stuff like BVC could also be excellent. But I need a movement advantage over him, so I may have to burn a haste if I want to cheese him that way. That would be a nice and easy way to get rid of him. I just don't want to have to deal with weird complications from other stuff in the vault. Okay, there he is. Start with a haste and a flight. We'll do BVC. Staff of Death. Okay, so he's going to struggle. We'll just zap him. He's not going to have a good time here. I can tell. This is not going to go well for our boy. This may not work. Okay. And at this point, we yeah. Goodbye. Good night, Lerny. Good night, sweet prince. Even the haste potion turned out not to be super necessary, but good use of haste anyhow. So I was thinking I might do some big old fight. Gozag or go home. Well, Gozag is probably, if you had to pick a god for strongest god in the game, you know, not counting zealots, I would probably pick Gozag. Just such a strong god, and Gozag is okay every once in a while. I don't particularly, it's a god I don't mind worshipping, I guess, but I don't particularly look forward to worshipping it. Well, I'm like that with a lot of gods, but Kiku is a god that is strong that I sort of enjoy worshipping more. I would say more so than Gozag, definitely. Not quite as strong as Gozag, but still very, I would say, a top-tier god. To pick an example of one, not necessarily all that similar, Gozag is rather unique. Nemelex. Nemelex is tricky. Do I like worshipping Nemelex more than Gozag? The inventory is a mess. The effects are kind of interesting, though. Gozag is... well... Gozag is nice and relatively simple. I don't really like using Bribe Branch very much. But the potion buffs are pretty cool. It's kind of neat to get some shop stuff going on. 2 scrolls of enchant weapon. Holy crap. Nem is for people who want to win the game. So is Gozag. If you just want to win, worship Nem. But yes, the inventory is a nightmare. And that is a thing, regardless of whether or not the design of Nem is a problem and the balance of Nem is a problem, that is an issue that absolutely should be fixed with that god. Where's Substyly? He would find this music to be so immersive right now. We got some more spells. Sublime of Blood, that can be handy. That's a nice little spell. Is there going to be the random Hydra? Yes, there is. Called it. Wow. Killed him with jabs. Alright, so that's 2 runes, that's swamp. It's both layer branches done. We got the easier sets. It was so immersive until you said my name. He wants me to do a voiced playthrough. That's what Substyly wants. Where I pretend that I'm actually in the dungeon and I see Sigmund and I have like I read his flavor speech. Oh, we got that acquirement. Did people even vote for it? Maybe they did. If I remember how to use this command. Armor 1, Jewel 2, Staff 1. Interesting, yeah. Staff could be good. Looks like anybody wants to get in a last minute vote as I check. Sometimes this command does not accurately tally. Okay, I think I opened that, but yeah, there it goes. So I guess that's what the people wanted. They wanted, oh, last minute votes. There's armor. Now we have a tie. Oh, now we have gold. Interesting. I bet, do you even know what I have on my shopping list? Well, Book of Death. Jewel or armor? How much would I want a staff is a question. I mean, most of my spells. Yeah, Kozak is definitely a Winmore god, I do agree. Well, depends on how you define. I've heard that term used in a few different ways. Strong god, that's for sure. Oh, I have Spectral Weapon. I forgot all about that spell. This is the problem. Well, if you vote, you need to vote for armor or jewel to break the tie. Otherwise, or I guess you could create a tie with staff or gold, and then I would have to use the RNG command. Oh, there it is. He voted for food. Now, isn't he a funny guy? Everyone laugh at Iggy. What a joke. What a jokester. Oh, 2 for food. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna happen. Honestly. I think, actually, what do I... Alright, well, I'll RNG it between armor and jewel. To show my fairness. Yeah, vote for food all you want. I see it has 3 votes. Ignored. Ignored. There it is. This is going to be a disappointment, just FYI. It's always a disappointment. Okay, it's artifact, but it's going to be a disappointment. Huh. I mean... not totally disappointing. I can't say I really wanted this. It's not useless. It could have been worse. I will grant that it could have been worse. I am about to take off our poison probably, and I will maybe swap back the cloak. And I can wear that and just have on RF. We're about to go into Elf, where that is, well, Elfin Vaults. Well, Gozag, that's the thing. Gozag does give immediate benefits. He gives you a free potion petition. Obviously, that is more impactful in early levels than it is on D8, but it is still a powerful effect. You see, I can't confirm. I don't know who voted for what. I can't subvert democracy. Everyone can claim. Well, if I had gotten this ring actually even before, it would have been sort of nice. I could have been flying. Because I think I don't actually need wizardry. Maybe, I could have used it without wizardry and used some more flight. I would prefer not to have 13% miscast, but I guess Zom wins. What a shock! Of all the people to win the RNG, Zom won it. I don't believe it. A little bit of extra strength. If we need RC, we can put that on. I suppose I could carry this cloak or this scarf. Now we're past the point where we should really need our one-handed weapon again, so we don't have amazing defenses going on here. Eventually it would be nice to switch up, I guess, to heavier and still use some of the spells, but it's going to be a little while before we're quite able. With 26 strength though, where's played? I actually do want to see. We might be able to. Yep, I mean at 9%. That's okay. What do we have for enchant armor? None. So we're not really going to benefit much more from our chain for the time being. Now you can make this character more of a dodging sort of one. The issue is that dodging skill, I can't really focus it too much. I also don't have especially high dex, but if I were in a robe, for instance, I would have 22 EV, which is not an amazing amount. I would like to have much closer to 30 by now if I was going to go more evasion based. It would also be kind of good to have a shield. So we're going to go this route. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have one level of RF because of Fireball. It becomes pretty common, especially in vaults and depths and whatnot. And then for cold attacks, you can certainly switch. Might even put this on right now. 11%, I mean, there's a lot of icicle from those knights who can be kind of a pain in that regard. Where's my hat of magic? Am I carrying it? Might pick this up. If I run into a bad boy, I can actually go just swap that on really quick around the corner. So let's go to Elf 1. Welcome to the Elven Halls. So the cool thing about this is I can... Ooh, wow. Really, Oka? Really? Let's see what this is all about. Well, and it's not terrible. It's not really sufficiently that much. It is an upgrade. Not a permanent upgrade, but it nerfs our spells a little bit. I can simply put on Wizardry. What would this give us? 25-17, 32-17. That's actually pretty nice. Does nerf our MR. Fortunately, we'd It's nice to have some MR. It is inconvenient. It's not required. It's just kind of nice to have some. So say 3017 versus 23. Do I have C invis otherwise? Oh, stupid. Yeah. Yep, no focusing skills, sadly. So I could wear this and just wizardry with like that. I mean, I think we could make do. See invis is sort of an issue. I can go invis myself, so what am I doing? And use whoa. Oh, it's inert. Well, that's the problem, is it not? Oh. Yeah, it's not critical to have RF right now, but eventually it is quite nice to have one level of it. Ah, there's our boy. Well, I can't really, we're gonna go like this, and yeah, that'll work. Don't want to give him an incentive to cast Damnation. Oh good, we got our G-Spirit. That's pretty nice. I might go ahead and just keep that on. That is worth 1 AC. Got a nice little vault here. Really? Come, my friend. No, you cannot, Kalfu. 27 is the max. There is the Deep Elf Annihilator. They are certainly spooky. Good miscast. Yeah, there's a nice iron shot. Nice lag. Oh, look out, it's Cheapicus. He knows about the RNG. Why did I go to the Elven Halls? Because Elf 1 and 2 are good, here's a good reference if you want to know what's a good branch order. You will note that after player branches, Hyperbolic, aka Elliptic, recommends maybe Elf 1 through 2. And he's quite correct. If you go to Vaults, you fight a lot of Deep Elves anyhow. So it's not like you're avoiding especially nasty monsters, and that includes the top tier ones. You actually fight a few more of the top tier ones on average in vaults than you do in Elf. So if you stay to Elf 1 and 2, you can get a nice... Oh, we're getting some serious lag on CBRO. This tournament is